Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. My name is Winged Supernova. In the last episode, we finished the fourth episode of the first Great Ace Attorney game, Great Ace Attorney Adventures, and in this episode we will start Case 5, the final case, the Hound of Baskervilles. And will there be a cutscene? Yes, there will.
It's coming! Sholmes's cry pierced through the thick wall of fog around us. Wisps of vapor flowed over the pistol as I cocked it, and I waited, breathlessly, in the stillness. The silence lasted for what seemed an eternity, until, at last, it appeared. From the shadows of the cloud, an enormous beast sprang out upon us. A hound it was, but not such a hound as any mortal has ever seen. Its eyes glowed with a smoldering glare. The whole of its ox-sized body was outlined in white-hot flames. Its rumbling pant and hideous howl, so terrified was I that I began to tremble with fear. "Look well, Wilson," Sholmes declared, gazing upon the mystical beast. "For this is the diabolical Hound of the Baskervilles."
Interesting. Wonder how that's going to tie into an actual case here. Alright, yes, it is September 12th, 2021, which I believe is about 1 day before this part will be shown to the public, which is September 14th. Alright, so let's us begin. Our first 2 months in London passed by in a flash. In that disconcerting courtroom experience we were first thrown into on the day we arrived in the country, and in Soseki-san's terrible ordeal that had followed closely behind, we had emerged victorious. However, there then came an abrupt end to our opportunities to appear in court. Oh, which was hardly surprising, of course, since I was nothing more than an amateur, an unknown student of law from a faraway land. So life in our little office was very quiet. That is, until it was shattered one day by that fateful telegram. Ooh, foreboding. I had an eventful weekend. I went to a art exhibit, and then, today was a day of rest. So that's what I'm doing here today. Knock, knock, knock. Oh, we've made ourselves at home, it seems. I wonder what that terrarium or aquarium houses in it. That morning, I was woken by the unreserved knocking on the door by the telegram boy. But after he'd gone, Susato-san's behavior became very obviously strange. Susato-san? Yes? Is it time to leave for court already? Let me see. What case is it today? I don't think I'm scheduled to defend anyone at the moment, am I? Oh, no, of course not. How silly of me. But I think Iris said she would make us breakfast this morning. So shall we go down to Mr. Sholmes' suite? Yes! Iris makes the most delicious breakfast food. She does, doesn't she? And once our bellies are full, we can leave for court in fighting fit form. Let me see. What case is it today? Here we go again. Alright. Well, let's examine a few things. The dialogue on this observation stuff is typically pretty funny. So yeah, we'll just click on a few things. That spade has been in here since we started renting the place. Oh, that's not a spade, Naruhodo-san. It's a shovel. No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade. No, spades are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a shovel. I don't want to dig a hole for myself, so let's leave it. She'll probably give you a Susato takedown and then dig a hole with that herself. So this is the tea set that Susato-san brought with her from Japan. Let's hope she hasn't noticed me slipping sugar and milk into my cup when she makes it. It's just so bitter. Tea is a drink to be enjoyed, Naruhodo-san. You really don't have to force yourself to drink it, you know. I don't like to see you screw up your face so. Interesting. It's spring at last and the weather is warmer now. I love the smell of the fire and the steam rising from the kettle. Oh, would you like some tea, Naruhodo-san? Thank you, Susato-san, but I'm alright for now. The green tea Susato-san makes for me from time to time and Iris's unique herbal infusions. This place is paradise for a true tea lover. Green tea is such a wonderful accompaniment to British tea cakes, don't you think? I actually have not had both at the same time before. We've only been here in London for about 2 months, but my desk is starting to look a little messy already. You could tidy up once in a while. Susato-san, I always say, making a mess is a small sacrifice to pay for being able to further your studies, and time spent tidying up is time you can't devote to the same cause. And time spent on ridiculous arguments is time that could be better spent on some simple housework. She gotcha. She wins, but I'm supposed to be the lawyer here. I mean, didn't she help you study? What is on this desk? Ah, this must be the telegram. Let's see. Ah! Ah! No, you mustn't look at that. Not under any circumstances. Alright, I won't. I'm sorry, Naruhodo-san, but you can be very mischievous at times. Then put the telegram away if you don't want people looking at it. Alright. I guess we can't look at the telegram. Just check this real quick. We were rather lucky to find that old aquarium left behind here. The prawns we put in there are doing rather well, and the anemones too. Where'd you get those? It's a wonderful invention, isn't it? The sea behind glass inside your room? Another example of Great Britain's greatness. Having to clean it out and change the water isn't so great though, is it? I don't know. Is it? I wonder when the first recorded instance of people keeping fish as pets was. I bet it's really early on, but that's just something that I thought about and then haven't ever looked up, so. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna look at. So let's converse real quick. So, what was it about? The telegram that was delivered this morning, I mean. Oh, a telegram? I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, but you're not going to get away with that. Well, I didn't think I would. Actually, don't give it a moment's thought. It's nothing. Nothing interesting. Boring, in fact. It was just a boring old telegram. That's 3 times now that she's tried and failed to convince me it was nothing. I promise that I'll tell you about it at some point. Alright, I understand. I suppose Soseki-san will have arrived back in Japan by now, won't he? Yes, I should think so. He left immediately after that terrible ordeal. Which would mean he should have completed the voyage already, or be just a few days away. A fortnight ago we had that very long telegram from him, do you remember? Complaining of seasickness. But by and large, it seems the voyage has been going well. Is something wrong, Naruhodo-san? I was just wondering, what might have become of Soseki-san had he stayed in London, that's all. You mean, as regards Lord Van Zeeks, the Reaper? Yes, I can't help wondering if seasickness would have paled into insignificance in that case. What is it they say? That no one who stands in the dock can be saved from the Reaper, right? Like the way that nightmarish trial ended on the day we arrived in London. Even 2 months on, the cause of that dreadful fire is still a mystery. Yes, but at least Soseki-san is safely out of the country but now. Presumably that means that the curse of the Reaper can only take effect within the confines of the city of London, perhaps? Even if that's the case, it's little comfort. I have a terrible sense of foreboding. If the legend of the Reaper is to be believed, it would mean he wields the swords of justice himself. Come to think of it, I wonder what he's been up to these past 2 months. Surely not wielding that sword against more acquitted defendants. No, I don't think so. Apparently, Lord Van Zieks hasn't appeared in court once since our last encounter. Oh? Yes, since Oseki-san's trial. He's withdrawn from judicial service again, it seems. Really? Just like before, when he wasn't seen in court at all for several years. So it's just been me who's had to face him in his recent spate of trials then. Just my luck. I wonder if luck doesn't come into it. Sorry, what was that? Oh, nothing. Never mind. Interesting. I feel like that's becoming my one word to say after every single topic that I don't have anything constructive to say. It's just interesting. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, it is interesting. But there's not much to say about it. It was kind of open and shut right there. Hello, Iris.
Morning, Runo. Morning, Susie.
Good morning, Iris. Iris.
What is it, Runo?
What is that terrible noise? It sounds like a cat being strangled.
Ah, yes. You noticed that, did you? Hurley isn't in the best form this morning, it seems.
Ooh. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Sholmes?
Good morning. A good morning to die, perhaps. Has something happened, Mr. Sholmes? You look miserable, and the way you were playing the violin before. My analytical mind is dead. Music is dead. The world is dead. Damn this blanched existence! That's all it is, my dear fellow. Nothing of consequence.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
Well, Iris, isn't it time we ate? Some dry toast and insipid coffee for me, if it's not too much trouble. Cat! Hello, cat. Oh, look, it's Wagahai. Is that... I don't know how that's pronounced. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that, but... Wagahai? Wagahai? Good morning,
Good morning, boy.
No. Oh, cat. That must be some tiny door. That must be some sort of tiny door for cats to use. But how did it get there?
Well then, everyone, time for breakfast. Oh, wonderful. Let me help you, Iris.
It would indeed be a fine day to die. Wow. Jesus Christ. I knew something looked different. Something missing from Mr. Sholmes' desk. Oh, is it his giant contraption that he had there? Giant forensic. I've already examined pretty much everything that's in this room, so I'm just gonna... Wanting to die, that's a great topic. You seem to be very unhappy this morning, Mr. Sholmes. What's happened? It used to be the case that in my hands, this violin sung like the dawn chorus. Its mellissonant tones would make flowers bloom. It would? But now, the muses are unamused with me. The goddesses of music have thrown me over.
Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes?
For hours I have bowed I have bowed, for days even. Through the night I have endeavored to no avail. That sound, my tone, is lost. That brilliant, clear, unwavering tone. Gone forever! No more recitals of unbridled emotion!
Well, you haven't been practicing much lately, have you, Hurley?
Don't worry. Oh, wrong voice. Don't worry, I'm sure it will come back to you in time. Heed my words, Mr. Naruhodo. The goddesses of the arts are fickle. One day they bestow genius on a man, the next they unmercifully withdraw it. Oh dear. Ah, why is this happening to me? They take the turn I have for the violin from me. What is left, for pity's sake? What is left? Deduction, perhaps? Isn't that what you're known for? He's kind of reminding me of Solomon Starbuck right now, except less annoying because he's not going every 10 seconds.
Mr. Sholmes, I don't like to pry, but your desk looks rather empty today.
Well done, Miss Susato. Your observational skills do you credit.
Oh no, Mr. Sholmes, they pale into insignificance when compared to yours.
You'd struggle not to notice, wouldn't you?
You mean Hurley's Great Analytoscope? That's at Windy Banks now.
Sorry, it's at a Windy Bank?
No, Windy Banks, the pawnbrokery.
Pawn? What? You mean you've pawned that enormous machine of yours? It has some considerable value, you see. Quite undeservingly.
But isn't it a very important machine for your work? I do wish you had consulted us if your situation had become so desperate. I should have gladly passed you what little income I have to you.
Dear madam, things are far from desperate.
But the pawnbroker has your wonderful machine. How can it be anything but desperate?
Making use of a pawnbrokery is quite ordinary here in London, I assure you. It is? It doesn't sound ordinary at all. It would seem that neither of you fully understand how pawnbroking works. Oh. What's to understand exactly? Maybe he's just getting it appraised at the moment, and it'll be returned to him later? I'm not sure. What do you mean when you said we didn't fully understand how pawnbroking works? To the people of London, pawnbrokeries are akin to banks.
Banks?
On Mondays, merchants relinquish their finest jackets and trappings to their pawnbroker of choice. With the money they receive in return, they are able to trade happily through the week.
And then on Saturdays, they go to recover their things using the money they've earned. I had no idea. This has been a fascinating lesson for us. Everyone does it, you see, especially people in inner London.
And should they have the money to spare, they would purchase another fine jacket. Not to wear, obviously, but to pawn should the need arise.
Oh, how ingenious. So whenever we have something that's getting in the way, we leave it at Windy Banks, you see?
A pawnbrokery can be thought of as an extremely secure vault. Who would have thought that even pawnbrokers are different here in Great Britain?
Of course, you have to watch Hurley with it. Sometimes he pawns things he really shouldn't. Don't you, Hurley?
What does it matter? The world is dead to me now. Well then. Well, we don't want to move. So I haven't checked over here actually. Let's see what Iris's corner has. This is where Iris notes down ideas, isn't it? Let's see, what does it say today? Ah, the Boscombe Valley Mystery.
Oh, how intriguing. It must be the title of Iris's latest work. Oh my, I wonder what fantastic tale awaits us.
Susato-san looks like an angel, but I bet she's dreaming of the most unsavory crime you could imagine. That's possible. That's a charming little white shelf, and full of charming little bottles, too. But the contents of them aren't quite so charming, it seems. Are they poison?
Science is the future, Mr. Naruhodo. You can't deny it. I'm saving my money so that I can buy some chemistry apparatus as well.
Law, chemistry, takedown throws. What diverse skills you boast, Miss Susato.
As useful as they are, I'm not sure that my throwing skills are worthy of inclusion in that list.
The typewriter. Come to think of it, I haven't seen Iris doing much writing recently. But there's paper already set up in the typewriter. Look, it's as if she's about to start.
That reminds me, when I mentioned that Iris was in the process of writing a full-fledged novel, Mr. Natsume was most impressed.
Ah yes, Mr. Natsume.
That's what I'll be doing too once I'm back in Japan, he said through tightly clenched fists and teeth.
Yeah. Arts are difficult, man. I'm trying to jump into learning how to do pixel art for thumbnails and the like, but it's difficult. It's a load of information to try and dissolve and, you know, just get it all down to begin with. The tutorial had quite a lot of info when I watched it on YouTube. Iris's beautiful tea set is there on the table as usual. A cup of one of her special herbal blends always helps me to relax when I'm feeling the strain.
The English pastime of tea has many similarities with our own tea ceremony customs, don't you think? It's the idea of hospitality behind it. That's the essence of tea.
And then this stuff. These are all mementos of Mr. Sholmes' past cases, I think. If he'd been involved in my case, I wonder if the beefsteak from La Carnival would be on display here.
A mystery shoe, a curious hammer, some mysterious dancing men, a bust of Napoleon. Ah, what an entrancing collection.
It looks like an untidy assortment of junk to me, rather like what's on my own shelves.
Well, you really ought to learn to keep your things in order, Mr. Naruhodo.
No favoritism there at all. Alright. Iris. Wagahai. Mr. Natsume's cat seems to have settled into his new home then. Oh, so this is Natsume's cat.
Oh yes, and I've become very attached to little Waggy.
It would appear his previous owner is completely forgotten to him. Cats are unfeeling creatures. Their mews as empty as the hearts of the muses. That is adorable.
If Mr. Natsume had no intention of taking Waggy back to Japan, I wonder why he kept him in the first place.
I expect he would have taken him if he could, but pets are strictly forbidden aboard steamships in our experience.
And for good reason. Terrible things can happen if the rules of passage are not obeyed. Well, I don't mind, because Waggy is adorable.
Yes, he really is. Oh yes, what about the door? Don't remember seeing that tiny thing in the main door before. Where did that come from?
Oh, you noticed? You are observant, Runo. Look, I used this. It's my latest invention.
What is that?
I call it the Cat Flap-O-Mat.
I love it.
Gosh, a machine for making doors just for cats? That's right, it can make a cat flap for a little furry friend like Waggy in seconds. And it can do it in any door at all, no matter what it's made of. It's very powerful, you see.
Wouldn't it have been quicker to just make the cat flap rather than making a machine to make the cat flap?
Well, yes, maybe. But now I can make cat flaps anywhere I like. Oh, I think it's wonderful. You must make one for us in the door of our office upstairs, Iris.
She really knows how to come up with unconventional inventions, this girl. That's how genius is born, man. You just make whatever you feel like, and then sometimes you'll come up with something crazy. Alright. Cat flap a mat. Oh. Not Wagahai.
Oh, what was that?
Wagahai? That sounded fun. Sounded like normal cat ownership to me. What was that?
Oh no! Wagahai is tangled up in your violin! Oh no! I think he thinks it's a toy.
No! What's he doing to it?
Oh dear, Mr. Sholmes' precious violin.
Why should I care? What? I shouldn't be surprised. If the cat is a more accomplished musician than I now. Oh, that's where he was going with that sentence.
Mr. Sholmes really is in poor spirits, isn't he? Well, anyway, I'll put it back where it lives. Shall I, Hurley?
Out of the cat's reach, if possible. Maybe we should assess the damage. Alright. The violin. So this is the violin, is it? It's a Stradivarius, one of the finest violins in the world, made by the renowned Italian luthier Antonio Stradivari. Oh, I see. It doesn't really look like anything special to me. I happened upon it covered in dust, languishing in a pawn shop down a nondescript back alley. The broker had no idea of its value, so I was able to purchase it for a mere 55 shillings. How honorable of you. And until today, it had been my faithful companion in every great Paganini-inspired performance I have made. I ask you, is there a reason to live in a world devoid of music, to tolerate this blanched existence? No! There is none.
Mr. Sholmes.
What, dear madam, what? My thoughts are preoccupied with fancies of release from this dull routine.
Well, it's about the violin. It looks very different to normal, don't you think?
What do you mean, Miss Susato?
Oh, Susie's right! Yes, the tone of the wood is completely different. And that's not all. I'm sure there was no crack here before.
Wait, it's not even the right size, is it? What's this?
I'm terribly sorry to have to tell you this, Mr. Sholmes, but that instrument isn't a violin at all.
Then what?
I believe it's an entirely different instrument called a viola.
What? What? What?
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, are you alright?
You're right. You are quite right. This isn't my faithful Stradivarius. So what, pray, is this piece of strained flotsam? Not your faithful performing partner, then.
Ah, I see what must have happened.
You do, Iris?
This is just a simple mix-up.
It sounds like Iris might be able to tell us exactly what's happened if we asked her. Alright. What was the mix-up? What did you mean by a mix-up, Iris?
Well, you see, this viola, I mean, was at Windybanks until last week.
At the pawnbroker's? Not Mr. Sholmes' beloved musical partner. There is a proverb from the East, with which you are no doubt familiar, my dear fellows. Always let a beloved child travel.
Yes, indeed.
So you sent your beloved violin to the pawnbrokers in the hope that it would experience personal growth?
Oh, what a wonderful idea.
That sounds ridiculous.
Last week I pawned my great analytoscope in order to release my precious instrument. But it would appear Mr. Windybank mistakenly furnished me with this tawdry fiddle instead. But my ears cannot be deceived by the hollow timbre of this piece of timber. No, but your every sense was deceived by the fact that it just had strings. Pshaw, fine state of affairs this is, and why I always say, Mr. Naruhodo, never trust a pawnbroker. They will try to fiddle you every time. But earlier you told us that you could think of a pawnbrokery as an extremely secure vault. Come, Mr. Naruhodo. Dilly-dallying will get you nowhere. Sorry? Crunching your toast with that vacant aspect. Pressing your coffee so obtusely. Are you not a little embarrassed by your own conduct considering the urgency from which we are faced? We must visit Mr. Windybank's brokery at once. That's right, isn't it, Mr. Sholmes? Precisely, Miss Susato, without a moment's delay. But I haven't finished my bacon and eggs. My dear fellow, surely you do not still intend to crunch your bacon with an increasingly vacant aspect, to press your egg even ever more obtusely? Alright, say no more. Let's go then.
Don't worry, Reno. I'd be happy to heat it up for you again later.
Oh, thank you, Iris. As it happens, I am rather curious to see what a British pawnbroker's looks like. Alright. Well, let's just go ahead and go. A new location has been added. Oh, we can go to Baker Street, and we can go to the Windybanks. So let's go to Baker Street first, and examine some things, and then that'll be the end of this episode. So this is the pawnbroker. Look at all the different things at the window of the shop.
Ah, that's Windybank's, the pawnbrokery.
It looks much smarter than a pawnbroker's in Japan, doesn't it?
Yes, you're right. I find pawn shops at home rather inapproachable, personally.
It reminds me of tearfully parting with my favorite fountain pen. I felt so miserable. Yeah, that's small time now.
What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, Mr. Naruhodo.
That's a mantra to live by. Oh wow, we're literally right here. That's interesting. It's already been 2 months since we started taking lodgings here above Mr. Sholmes' office. I still can't quite believe it. I never expected things would turn out like this.
Oh, I know. To actually be sharing an accommodation with the world's greatest detective.
Oh. I misread that first line.
Oh, I know,
is what I should have said.
If I ever find myself before a court of law now, I will have not one regret.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'd be happy to defend you, of course. Alright, what else? I think that's it for 221p Baker Street at the moment. This is interesting that this is all for rent and stuff. Meanwhile, this shop's doing just fine. So yeah, that is going to be it for this episode. So once again, thank you guys very much for watching. If you like this, feel free to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next episode when we go into the pawnbroker shop and try and get Mr. Sholmes' violin back, and potentially his his analytic machine or whatever he called it. So yeah, see you guys then.